On the morning of November 26, 2025, the day before Thanksgiving, an 18-year-old college freshman named Emily Finn made what should have been a simple, civilized visit. She was going to her ex-boyfriend's house in Nesconset, Long Island, to return some of his belongings after their recent breakup. It was meant to be closure, a final, mature gesture as both teens moved on with their lives. But Emily would never leave that house alive. What happened inside that home on Shenandoah Boulevard would shock an entire community, devastate two families, and leave hundreds of people asking the same haunting question. How did young love turn into such unspeakable tragedy? This is the story of Emily Finn, a talented ballerina, aspiring teacher, and beloved daughter whose bright future was stolen in an instant. And it's a story that forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about domestic violence, breakups, and the deadly access to firearms. Before we continue with Emily's story, if you appreciate the care and research that goes into covering these important cases, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. These stories matter. These victims deserve to be remembered with dignity and accuracy. By subscribing, you're ensuring that their stories reach more people, and that we can continue raising awareness about issues like domestic violence and teen dating violence that affect far too many lives. Your support means everything. Now, let's talk about who Emily Finn really was. To understand the magnitude of this loss, you need to know who Emily Finn was. Emily Teresa Finn was born and raised in West Sayville, Long Island, where she grew up as the kind of young woman every parent dreams of raising. She lived with her mother, Cleantha, her father, Ryan, and her brother, Kyle. Those who knew her described her as having everything: beauty, talent, intelligence, kindness, and an infectious enthusiasm for life. From a very young age, Emily fell in love with ballet. She joined the American Ballet Studio in Bayport when she was just 12 years old, arriving as what her instructors described as a quiet, sweet, and somewhat unsure young girl. But that wouldn't last long. Under the guidance of artistic director Kathy Cairns-Schultz, Emily blossomed into something extraordinary. Cairns-Schultz would later tell reporters that Emily had gorgeous blue eyes and a beautiful smile, that she was a breath of fresh air who had everything in front of her. But it wasn't just Emily's physical grace that set her apart. It was her work ethic, her dedication, and her heart. Emily trained at the studio 4 or more days each week, often pushing herself harder than anyone asked her to. She had an incredible mind. She could memorize choreography after seeing it just once. She never forgot corrections. She always knew the changes. She was the dancer everyone else looked to when they needed help backstage. Over her 4 years at American Ballet Studio, Emily performed in multiple productions of The Nutcracker, eventually landing the lead role of the Dewdrop Fairy, one of the most prestigious and technically demanding parts in the entire production. She wasn't just performing, she was teaching younger students, serving as the studio's fundraising president, and stepping into leadership roles that most teenagers would shy away from. One story perfectly captures who Emily was. Last year, as president of the studio's student-run fundraiser, Emily organized a car wash. The day arrived, and the weather turned miserable. Heavy rain, cold temperatures, conditions that would make anyone want to pack up and go home. Both Cairns-Schultz and the studio owner Kathleen Cairns-Schultz suggested canceling. But Emily refused. She just shrugged and said, "No. We're gonna just try today." And you know what happened? Emily and the other students worked in the pouring rain. They didn't wash a single car, but they raised almost $600 that day through sheer determination and Emily's leadership. That was Emily Finn, someone who didn't give up, who inspired others to keep going, who found ways to succeed even when circumstances seemed impossible. In June 2025, Emily graduated from Sayville High School, where she'd also been active in the marching band, playing the flute. She'd taken BOCES classes preparing for a career in education because Emily had found her calling. She wanted to be a teacher. That fall, Emily enrolled at SUNY Oneonta as a freshman, majoring in early childhood elementary education with a minor in dance. It was the perfect combination of her two great passions, working with children and ballet. Her instructors back at the studio said she talked constantly about her dream of becoming a teacher. They all agreed. She would have been exceptional. Emily had a group of close friends, young women like Caitlin Guterwill, Bryn Ballin, and Maya Truglio, who affectionately called her Emmy. They had their own group chat called Oh Sugar and filled their days with the rituals of teenage friendship. Mall trips, coffee runs, beach days, concerts. Emily loved baking and crafts, was patient and independent, and according to her friends, was simply the best person they'd ever known. Pink was Emily's favorite color. She wore it often, posted photos in pink dresses, surrounded herself with it. It was vibrant, optimistic, full of life. Just like her. During her high school years, Emily entered into a relationship with a boy from nearby Nesconset named Austin Lynch. The relationship lasted approximately 3.5 years, significant for teenagers, nearly encompassing their entire high school experience. From the outside, they looked like a typical young couple. Social media posts showed them together at their high school prom in June 2025, just months before the tragedy. The photos are still visible on Emily's Instagram page. Pictures of a seemingly happy couple dancing together. Emily pinning a corsage on Austin, the two of them posing with friends under a floral awning and in front of a carriage. Emily captioned the photos, "Prom with my favorite people," with a pink heart emoji. A family friend of the Lynch family would later describe their relationship as young puppy love that stopped making sense. They told reporters, "It wasn't going to work. Most of these young relationships don't." As Emily prepared to leave for college in August 2025, something shifted. According to sources close to the situation, Emily decided it was time to move on. She wanted freedom. She wanted to experience college life. She wanted to have fun and explore who she was becoming as an adult. The breakup appears to have been Emily's decision, and by all accounts, it was recent, happening sometime in the weeks or months before Thanksgiving. For his part, Austin Lynch had his own plans for the future. According to reports, he had recently joined the Marines and was preparing for that next chapter of his life. A family friend noted that Austin had just celebrated his 18th birthday on Thanksgiving Day, though he spent it in a hospital bed for reasons that would soon become horrifically clear. There's no indication that the relationship had been physically violent before. Police confirmed there was no history of domestic violence reports, no 911 calls related to the couple, no documented pattern of abuse. But as we've learned time and time again in cases like this, the absence of documented violence doesn't mean the relationship was healthy. The most dangerous time for victims of domestic violence is often during or immediately after a breakup, when the abuser realizes they're losing control. November 26, 2025, was the day before Thanksgiving. Emily Finn was home from SUNY Oneonta for the holiday break, enjoying time with her family in West Sayville. At some point that morning, Emily made plans to visit Austin Lynch's home in Nesconset. The purpose was straightforward and mature. She was going to return some of his belongings. It's a common ritual after breakups. Returning clothes, gifts, personal items, providing closure and clean separation. Austin Lynch lived with his parents at 134 Shenandoah Boulevard North in Nesconset. It should have been a safe place, a family home, with adults present. At approximately 11:10 a.m., everything went catastrophically wrong. According to police reports, Austin Lynch retrieved a shotgun, a legally owned firearm that was in the home, and fired 2 shots. The first shot struck Emily Finn, killing her almost instantly. The second shot, Austin turned on himself, shooting himself in the face. The exact sequence of events inside that home remains known only to the 2 teenagers who were there. But what we know is this: Emily Finn, an 18-year-old college freshman with her entire life ahead of her, was shot to death by the boy she had once loved. Austin's parents discovered the horrific scene and immediately called 911. When emergency responders arrived, they found Emily already deceased at the scene. Austin, despite the severe facial injuries from the self-inflicted gunshot wound, was still alive. He was rushed to Stony Brook University Hospital in critical but stable condition. Against all odds, he survived. Emily did not. At 11:10 in the morning on a cold November day, Emily Finn's life ended. She was 18 years old. She had been in college for just 3 months. She would never become the teacher she dreamed of being. She would never dance another ballet. She would never see her friends again, never hug her parents or brother, never experience any of the beautiful moments life had waiting for her. All because a teenage boy couldn't accept that their relationship was over. Suffolk County Police immediately launched an investigation into what they classified as an attempted murder-suicide. Detectives from the homicide squad descended on the Nesconset home, processing what had become a crime scene. Initially, Austin Lynch's identity wasn't publicly released because he was 17 years old at the time of the shooting. Under New York law, minors are afforded certain protections regarding public identification, even in serious criminal cases. However, the New York Post and other media outlets eventually identified him as the suspect, noting that he had turned 18 the very next day, on Thanksgiving. The timing of his birthday created a complex legal situation. Austin was 17 years old when he allegedly shot Emily and himself, just 1 day shy of his 18th birthday. This meant his case would fall under New York's Raise the Age law, which reformed how the justice system handles 16 and 17-year-olds charged with serious crimes. The Suffolk County District Attorney's Office announced that Austin Lynch would be charged with second-degree murder. However, the DA's office noted that due to his age at the time of the crime, it would be up to the court to determine whether he would be prosecuted as an adult or in family court. A spokesperson for the DA's office stated, "Under New York's Raise the Age law, the court will make the decision as to adult versus family court." As of the latest reports, Austin Lynch remained hospitalized at Stony Brook University Hospital. His facial injuries from the self-inflicted gunshot wound were severe enough that he couldn't immediately be arraigned on the murder charge. Prosecutors indicated he would face formal charges as soon as he had recovered sufficiently. If convicted of second-degree murder as an adult, Austin Lynch could face 25 years to life in prison. The investigation revealed several key details. The shotgun used was legally owned and kept in the Lynch family home. There had been no previous domestic violence reports involving the couple. No 911 calls had been made to the residence regarding Emily and Austin. By all documented measures, this appeared to be a sudden, explosive act of violence. But those who work with domestic violence victims know better. The absence of police reports doesn't mean the relationship was healthy. Many victims never call the police. Many abusers are skilled at hiding their behavior from everyone except their victims. And the period immediately following a breakup is statistically the most dangerous time. The news of Emily Finn's death sent shockwaves through West Sayville, Bayport, and the surrounding Long Island communities. This was the kind of tragedy that leaves everyone stunned, searching for words that don't exist. Almost immediately, Emily's friends and community members began organizing tributes. Pink ribbons, Emily's favorite color, appeared on trees throughout the area. The American Ballet studio in Bayport, where Emily had spent so many hours training and teaching, became a focal point for grief. On the Saturday after the shooting, Emily's closest friends, Caitlin Guterwill, Bryn Ballin, and Maya Truglio, returned to the studio to tie pink ribbons on the trees outside. Speaking through tears, they tried to put into words what Emily had meant to them. "She was just the best person ever, and it's horrible that she's gone," Bryn told reporters. They remembered the small rituals that had filled their friendship with Emily: mall trips, coffee runs, beach days, concerts, time spent together that now felt impossible to replace. They talked about how Emily could bake anything, make anything, how patient and independent she was. Caitlin remembered how Emily was always the person everyone turned to for help. "If I needed help putting on a costume or headpiece, I just go to Emily," she said. The three friends made a pact. They would get matching tattoos of their Oh Sugar group chat to honor their bond. Bryn went a step further, getting a second tattoo on her right arm that read, "Love, Emmy," copied exactly from Emily's handwriting on an old card the slain teen had given her. Inside the American Ballet studio, the younger dancers Emily had taught were devastated. Lenora Truglio, a third-grade teacher whose daughter Maya danced at the studio, said, "The kids are very, very sad. They are distraught. They lost a wonderful dancing peer as well as a best friend." The studio announced that this year's production of The Nutcracker would be dedicated to Emily's memory. They planned to line the studio with pink ribbons in her honor and hoped to establish a scholarship in her name. Maya Truglio, Lenora's daughter, would be dancing the same lead role Emily had performed the previous year. Artistic director Kathy Cairns-Schultz spoke about Emily with obvious pain. "She had everything in front of her. She would have been the best teacher, mother, and whatever she chose to be. Her personality was warm and welcoming. She was everything a parent would want in a child and teacher would want to have in their classroom." The Sayville Alumni Association released a statement expressing their collective grief. "Her murder leaves an indelible void where a future of promise once stood. We are utterly devastated. Our alumni community has lost one of its brightest lights to a senseless and unimaginable tragedy. We are united in our grief and heartbreak." Weekend community events, including the Sayville Holiday Parade and the Miracle on Main Tree lighting ceremony, were canceled out of respect for Emily's family and the grieving community. Grief counselors were made available to students and community members. A GoFundMe campaign was established by Heather Corcoran of West Sayville to support Emily's family during this unimaginable time. The campaign description read, "I write this with tears in my eyes as we learned of the devastating and senseless loss of Emily Finn yesterday. Emily leaves a hole in the lives of her mother, father, brother, aunts, uncles, cousins, and many friends." The response was overwhelming. Within days, the campaign had raised over $75,000 from more than 900 donations, with contributions pouring in not just from West Sayville and Sayville, but from across Long Island and beyond. Services for Emily Finn were scheduled for Sunday, November 30th and Monday, December 1st. In keeping with Emily's vibrant spirit, Her family made a specific request that would become one of the most poignant aspects of her memorial. They asked that everyone wear a splash of pink, Emily's favorite color. The wake was held at Rainer and DeAndrea Funeral Home in West Sayville, with viewing hours from 2 Ballet to 4:30 p.m. and 7 to 9:30 p.m. on Sunday. More than 1,000 mourners packed the funeral home, and the sight was both beautiful and heartbreaking. The funeral home was a sea of pink. Mourners wore pink ribbons, bandanas, boots, jackets, and bows. Emily's devastated mother, Cleantha, wore a pink sweater. Her father, Ryan, and brother Kyle stood beside her, hugging weeping mourners, all of them wearing pink in honor of Emily. Inside the funeral home, the displays told the story of Emily's short but extraordinary life. Her pink ballet slippers were on display, the same shoes she'd worn while performing as the Dewdrop Fairy. There was a poster showing Emily smiling with her flute from the high school marching band. Academic achievement awards covered the walls, testament to Emily's dedication as a student. Baby pictures sat alongside more recent photographs, showing Emily's journey from childhood to the beautiful young woman she'd become. There were bouquets of pink flowers everywhere. Emily's ashes would be displayed in a pink box, even in death, surrounded by the color that had brought her so much joy in life. Friends who attended the wake struggled to find words. One friend, who identified herself only as Heather, told reporters, "She just had that special spark. She was so full of life, and she loved her family and her brother and her grandparents so much. All she ever wanted was to do good for the world, and it all got taken away. Just like that. I can't stop crying." Another friend, Haley, said, "Emily was the best, just the best. She was an amazing dancer and an amazing friend and such a family person. Being around all these people who love her so much, I keep imagining her being among them, living and smiling. I'm just completely crushed. I'm devastated." A church service followed on Monday morning at 10:30 a.m. at St. John's Lutheran Church in Sayville, where Emily's family, friends, and community gathered one final time to celebrate her life and mourn her loss. In lieu of flowers, Emily's family requested that donations be made to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, a fitting tribute that turned their grief into advocacy, hoping that Emily's death might somehow help prevent similar tragedies. The Youth Peace and Justice Foundation, also known as the Uvalde Foundation for Kids, announced that Emily would be honored through their Trees for Peace Youth Gun Violence Memorial Program. A tree would be planted in the Finger Lakes National Forest in upstate New York in Emily's memory, a living symbol that would grow and thrive as Emily herself should have been allowed to do. Emily Finn's death is not just a tragic local story. It's a reflection of larger, systemic issues that claim too many young lives. This case represents the deadly intersection of three critical problems: teen dating violence, the danger of breakups in unhealthy relationships, and easy access to firearms. Emily's death forces us to have uncomfortable conversations. How do we teach young people about healthy relationships? How do we recognize the warning signs of dating violence before it turns fatal? How do we ensure that breakups don't become death sentences? Some have questioned whether this was truly a case of domestic violence given the lack of prior police reports. But experts in the field know that domestic violence doesn't always leave visible bruises or police paperwork. It can be subtle, psychological, controlling, invisible to everyone except the victim. And we must talk about access to firearms. A legally owned shotgun, kept in a family home with adults present, became the instrument of Emily's murder. How do we balance Second Amendment rights with the need to keep weapons away from people in crisis? These are questions our society continues to grapple with, often only in the wake of tragedies like Emily's death. As for Austin Lynch, he survived his suicide attempt and will face the consequences of his alleged actions in court. Whether prosecuted as an adult or in family court, he will carry the weight of what happened on November 26th for the rest of his life. But no punishment, no sentence, no verdict can bring Emily Finn back. The world has lost a talented dancer, an aspiring teacher, a loving daughter and sister, a loyal friend, and a young woman who had so much potential, it seemed limitless. Emily Finn should be in her dorm room at SUNY Wananta right now, probably wearing something pink, texting her friends in the Oh Sugar group chat, studying for exams, planning what dance routine she'll teach the younger students when she visits the studio over winter break. Instead, her ashes rest in a pink box, her ballet slippers sit silent, and a community tries to make sense of a senseless tragedy. Pink ribbons wave in the wind outside the American Ballet studio. A memorial tree will grow in the Finger Lakes National Forest, and hundreds of people will carry Emily's memory forward, determined that her light, though extinguished far too soon, will never be forgotten. If you or someone you know is experiencing dating violence, please reach out for help. You are not alone, and there are people who want to help you stay safe. Rest in peace, Emily Finn. You deserved so much better. Thank you for taking the time to hear Emily's story. Please consider leaving a like. It helps more people find these important stories. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you never miss a case. I want to hear from you in the comments. What can we do as a society to better protect young people in relationships? How do we teach our teens about healthy love versus dangerous obsession? Your thoughts matter, and they help create important conversations. Share this video. Emily's story could save someone's life. Someone watching might see the warning signs in their own relationship or in a friend's relationship. Awareness is power, and your share could make all the difference. Until next time, please stay safe, look out for one another, and remember, love should never hurt. If it does, it's not love, and you deserve better.